Hi, welcome to another session of Wing Chun King. Today I'm going to be in costume because my Bart Cham Dao is finished. So here I'm going to show you the Bart Cham Dao. These are the swords that are done. It's not perfect, but I'm really happy with the results. You can see some, grinding marks. Notably this one, it's not perfect here. The grinding marks you could see because I put the handle first, so you see grinding marks like this, and then grinding marks like this, and then grinding marks like this. So that was terrible. It's not as good. This one is better because I didn't put the handle on first, so the grinding marks are quite consistent. As you can see, they're right here. Okay, so here they are. I am dressed appropriately because I want to look like a rebel. Just to prove the point that, these were not popular weapons. These were rebel weapons. Weapons you want to say overthrow a government or overthrow the city's city guards. Why? Because back then considered the bad guys were pretty much the police were the bad guys. The police were corrupt, and the public was kind of being taken advantage of. So that's why they have rebels. So kind of unfortunately, not too much has changed. So here they are. The Bart Cham Dao. And they are finished. Now if you watch the previous episodes, these are... I'm quite stoked at making these. I thought they were going to be very homemade looking or DIY, but actually, they look kind of like something you would order on eBay from China. I'm not exactly a stranger to when it comes to making things. Even though I'm not a sword maker or blacksmith, I have made in the past some of my own weapons. This I did many years ago. I was like 18 years old when I did this with just a hacksaw. For a long time, it was like sort of like for quite a few years I wanted to make these, and I had to find a good steel supplier. So I found one locally, not locally, but within the country, and I used 80 CRV2 steel. Carbon steel. These are not heat treated. I'm not planning to heat treat these at all because when I practice, I don't sharpen my blades. I don't want to practice with sharp blades. That would be very dangerous. The main design here on this sword is right here, this little thing that sticks out. This is extremely crucial to any sort of weapon. It's called a guard, right? And this is the D guard, but it's called a guard. And it's a guard for a reason. The reason is if you have a weapon coming down to here, now any kind of weapon that hits your blade is going to come down to the bottom of your blade. There's no doubt about it. Fortunately, the Bart Cham Dao is based on the butterfly sword because we have this in Hong Kong, or you guys call it Hong Guard. And this is a way older weapon than the Bart Cham Dao. So we kind of copy this from this. So this would be the father of this. So now if you see, we in the Hongkyun, the butterfly sword, has a very fat guard like this. So now here it has a very fat and distinct D guard that comes out. And the D here is quite fat. So when you get a blade that comes in like this, it hits the guard and it protects you. It protects you lower half, because it just stops everything. Here it sticks out at least an inch. So that works really, really well. This is a well-designed weapon. And then when it comes here, it pretty much in the quillin stops a blade from getting to your hand. Even if you at an angle like this, which is quite a normal thing that would happen, because you're like this and they want to do this to your sword so that they can hit it down to get the sword out of the way so that they can enter. So when you go like this, you can see that this staff pretty much gets blocked and stopped by the quillin. So this here, this angle, it gets stopped. Here, this angle, it gets stopped. Or even at this angle, it gets stopped. So this is a quite well designed, and this is way older design. I don't want to shit on Bart Cham Dao, but unfortunately, when they went and modernized the Bart Cham Dao, they made a whole lot of flaws when they redesigned it. So when they redesigned it, they made the quillin, okay, a little bit smaller, because they need to conceal this in their clothing. So they can't have a fat guard, fat like this way. So they made the guard thin, and they made this part thin. So, but there's still a little bit of a edge left here on this pair. And this is the general Chinese pair that's been coming out of China for ages now. And it could still stop a staff a little bit, but not perfectly. So it's lost some of its edge, no pun intended, lost some of its edge. So it could still stop a staff from coming down, not as good as the butterfly sword. So now this lost some of its usefulness. Okay, now you can see here, if a staff comes in here, there is a problem for the staff to come in, because this guard, this quillin is quite small, so that there's not a whole lot of room. But next thing you know, they had further modernized the design of the modern Bart Cham Dao. And I hate to say this is completely useless. The quillin and the D-guard of all these Bart Cham Dao is completely useless. The blade is useful, but the quillin and the D-guard is completely useless. It does not serve the purpose that it should. Why? Because here I'll demonstrate. Because they made this for flipping, which you shouldn't. Because you can't fight when it's flipped. Because weight is too short. Second, you can't really block like this. You try to block like this, and you see this big piece of meat's going to just get cut. There's no structural integrity here because your wrist is bent. So when your wrist is bent, there's no structural integrity. And then this thing just cuts right into your bone. So why do you flip? The flipping is only for deployment and concealment. So in other words, you're walking into a market crowded with people, and you're like this, and nobody would notice, even if, especially if you have a long sleeve, nobody would notice this. So if you need to, then you deploy, you do what you need to do, and then you run away, and then you just, well, what Bart Cham Dao? I didn't see. I think the guy went over there. But during a battle, you're not going to be doing these kind of things. Okay, that would be silly. Okay, so they made this thing big, the quillin really, really, really big. So now look what happens. Okay, my thumb right now is getting annihilated by this stab easily. Anywhere this way, I'm getting my wrist shattered like this, and this way I am getting my thumb shattered, because this is just so big that staff, swords, whatever can easily enter into the quillin and destroy my fingers at any angle that you like, because this is so big. So this is completely useless, and even if you want to crank it to control the lap, it's really not very good, because it's just too big, so that if you crank it to control your opponent, you can't crank it enough because the angle is just way too big. So the quillin is quite useless. Then there's the problem of the D guard, the D here. They made this part so smooth, completely smooth. So now if I want to block something coming down here, which it will, as soon as it comes down here, it passes right down into my belly, into my legs, anything underneath, it just comes right down, and then I'm a goner. I mean, I'm trying to lift, and you don't lift your blade like this, but I'm trying to really be nice and really lift the blade, but this is just so smooth. It really is hopeless. You don't want a smooth surface here. You want something that it could stop a blade from coming down. That's why I designed my Bart Cham Dao the way it is. So that is why last time I designed this pair, which I didn't make, but I designed from scratch. And that is why I have this hook here. And then that's why this hook can block anything coming down, and that's why this is this fat. There's a huge space between here and my finger here, so that anything that comes down here, I am quite safe and I'm quite well protected. Just like if it comes in from here, I am quite safe and I'm quite well protected, because there's at least 1.5 inches between the staff and my fingers. So, and that is why I designed this the way I designed it. And this works really, really well here to catch anything. I just need to crank it just a little bit, and I have a lot of control doing this with the opponent. And let me just show you here. This is the D.I.Y. Okay, so now this D.I.Y here, this staff hitting here is not going to come up into my face. Okay, versus something like this. If I do a D.I.Y, forget it. Look how smooth this is. So when it goes like this, you do a D.I.Y, your face is finished. This staff will go slide right up past your D guard and into your face. Completely useless. So here's bong. Here you go. Here's the D.I.Y. You can transition to the quillin over your head, because you don't want the enemy staff to be anywhere crossing your face, because that's going to be in danger. So you could easily D.I.Y an attack, hook, twist, turn, and hook with the quillin into your into the staff, and you need to duck a little bit, push this up, come to this side. and you're pulling at this stage. You're cranking your sword with the quillin, so you're pulling the staff towards you with a lap, and your opponent is going to pull back because they don't want you to take their staff away, and they're going to be stronger than you because you only got one arm holding the staff. So when they pull back, they're actually then now pulling your blade towards their face or towards their hands. So when they pull, you could just easily let go on your staff by not cranking it, and then as soon as you let go, you slide down the shaft into their fingers, what have you. So that is the design of my new Bart Cham Dao. Like I said, I painted the wood. It's a maple wood, painted black to look like ebony. I didn't want to spend money on Marcita. Basically, it's just resin. So I don't know. One day I might just make my own resin, Marcita resin handles. So there is also a little bit of a space here in my swords, so that I don't, I'm not gonna get cut when something is here. I don't want to get cut so easily, and that's why there's a space here. That's why this is this wide. Whereas these other swords, when you're like this, you could easily get cut. The handle here sticks out like that. The reason for that is because this part here is going to stick out a little bit, and then that allows your thumb to grab over this piece of wood like that and locks it in. It gives the grip a lot more surface area, because if you don't have that, when you don't have that, your flesh in your grip of your arm is soft. No matter how hard you try to grip your sword, there is a lot of play inside here because you got soft flesh. So most of your stress when you fight, whatever you do, is a lateral stress this way. So you cannot hold your sword as tight of a grip as you can. So I designed my handle to stick out over here so that there's more surface area, and when you grip your sword with the thumb over it, you get way more surface area, and you lock the grip in, and your sword becomes super tight grip. And once you use this grip and you gotten used to it, and you hold another sword without that, you feel that you're at an extreme disadvantage without this design. So this quillin is quite small, so that it's going to pretty much deter and block any kind of staff from coming in without having to worry that the fingers are going to get the thumb that's going to get hit. And this way it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And then this way it's not bad at all. It pretty much stops the staff from coming in. Thank you for following the videos. Second wave is here, so wear your mask when you're out. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a nice day. Thanks, bye.